Hello everyone, Acura Amanda here. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Officer McGinley from the West Palm Beach Police Department, the specific IA write-up in his disciplinary file. It has to do with the St. Mary's Medical Center wheelchair incident that I mentioned earlier. It was McGinley, Officer Rosario again, and Officer Testa. So we're going to take a look at the video in question, what disciplinary action the city took against this officer, and we're going to be taking a look at the report, guys. If you haven't already, go subscribe to my channel and hit the bell for the notifications, guys. Thank you for watching. This is a use of force complaint against Officer Robert McGinley. I hope I'm saying that right. It looks like he was suspended for just a few hours or maybe a shift or two. Written reprimand, 8-hour suspension, remodel training, all of that good stuff. And this complaint was made after Mr. Jackson, I don't know if you remember, I released a video where Officer McBride and some female officer were trying to taser him when he ran away, allegedly. And this report goes a little in depth. Officer Rosario, Officer McGinley removed Jackson from the marked police car, placed him on the ground, and then Mr. Jackson began to strike his head against the ground, according to them. Officer Rosario, Officer McGinley utilized a hobble restraint and conducted a TARP to prevent Jackson from harming himself further. He was placed in the rear compartment of Rosario's marked police car, and then he was transported to St. Mary's Medical Center for clearance by Officer Rosario. Officer Testa followed McGinley and Officer Rosario to the medical center to assist with Mr. Jackson's combative behavior. Then they arrived at the medical center. I'm going to scroll down a little bit and I'll be leaving the link in the description to this full report if you guys want to read the whole thing. Mr. Jackson would not walk into the medical center and had to be carried by Rosario and McGinley to a wheelchair provided by Officer Testa. Let's see. It goes on to say, as they entered the ER, it appeared Officer McGinley grabbed Jackson by the left shoulder and pushed him out of the chair onto the floor. Unbelievable, guys. BWC from McGinley and Testa were collected. And the lieutenant that investigated this appears to be Lieutenant Johnson. So I'll leave the link in the description to this full report so you guys can read it. But the argument here, and these officers who were all spoken to and heard their side of the story, they're saying that Officer McGinley basically pushed this gentleman out of the wheelchair onto the floor. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this heavily redacted video.
Y'all don't got to do that, bro.
All right, well, you're going to sit in the chair.
Up.
Sit.
I was to do that.
Sit in the chair. Sit.
Get up.
Jesus.
McGinley, over to the left, places his hand on the suspect's shoulder.
Really? Get up. Y'all just threw me, bro.
Come
Get
on.
Up. Y'all don't got to do that, bro.
All right, well, you're going to sit in the
Get
chair.
Up.
Sit.
I was to do that.
Sit in the chair. Sit.
Get up.
Jesus.
Really?
Jesus.
Really?
Jesus.
Really?
Jesus.
Get up. Y'all just threw me, bro.
Come
Get
on.
up. How am I get up like this, bro?
Stop.
How can I get up like this?
Get him in here.
How can I get up like this? Tell me how can I get out like this?
Sit up here.
Tell me,
Turn
bro.
him on his belly.
Look at my fan.
Turn him on his
Look,
belly.
bro. Look what y'all doing.
There you go.
What y'all doing?
Put that thing
How can I
in.
get up like this?
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Right back.
Can y'all fit my pants?
Stop falling out of the wheelchair.
Keep fitting my pants. Speed. Come on.
You guys hold his shoulders. I'll
Fit my pants, bro, please.
We'll fix your pants in a second. Relax.
Seem to beat them every chance.
After watching the video of this encounter at St. Mary's Medical Center, you can kind of see a silhouette and an outline of what happened here. The department was well within their rights to redact this footage from the medical center, of course, because it's in a hospital, and they will always cite that exemption when you're going to make these public records requests. But that goes beyond the point. We can definitely see what took place in that video, although it is heavily redacted. And when they were disciplining Officer McGinley, they cited the SOP 3/13, and that is basically their use of force policy. So if you go on westpalmbeachpolice.org, you will find their use of policy on the bottom of the website. And I'll be sure to leave you a link to that in the description so you guys can review what this department's use of force policies is. It's definitely something to read up on and educate yourself. Other than that, guys, let me know in the comments what you think. Do you believe that this officer should have been suspended for more length of time? Do you believe he should still be a police officer? Before we end this, guys, all of the witnesses who were interviewed in this IA inquiry, they all have one thing in common. They all admit that they seen Officer McGinley put his hand on the left shoulder of the suspect at the time. But all of them formulate their own opinion as to why he did it, or, oh, he did not do it to intentionally push him out of the wheelchair. So it's very confusing when you look at it. They're all admitting that they seen this officer place his hand, but they do not believe he purposely made contact with him. Makes no sense. It appears that Officer McGinley, from his Concisus Officer History Report, he's been with the department since 2004. And it looks like on his Concisus history, he has a total of 87 inquiries. 60 of them would be for use of force. It appears he has 13 citizen complaint inquiries, guys. Always pull their Concisus history, and then you can put the pieces of the puzzle together. Thanks for watching.